been a while since we've done this. I've just released my build video of the Envoy prototype that Mode was kind enough to provide me with. I'm making this video today since I've used the keyboard for 3 full weeks now, and I've got more refined thoughts about it, whereas the build video is more first impressions. Right off the bat, I want to say while Mode did send me this board for review, there's no money changing hands and they do not get to see any of my videos before they come out. Since the announcement of the Envoy, it's been in the back of my mind what my content strategy should be for it, and it finally came to me in the shower one morning. That's probably a sign I need a new hobby, right? The idea that came to mind is what I'm calling the productization of keyboards, and how this really seems to be, as the name implies, an envoy or messenger of things to come. Since the inception of the hobby, premium keyboards have been what I would call a kit. You get the board, the plate, the PCB, but you're responsible for switches, caps, and stabilizers. We've certainly seen other brands approach this issue. I specifically want to call out Canon Key's bundle sale. They would allow you to buy a board, switches, and a cap set for a discount, which was great, though it was temporary and not all in-house. Mode is really making a statement here with the Envoy. The kit version of the board starts at $189, which is nuts considering how good this board feels and sounds. But what has really captured my attention is what they're calling the full kit version of the board. This is an Envoy that comes with the board itself in one of 5 configurations of materials and plate, a set of Mode's in-house keycaps, a set of Mode's switches, a set of Durock stabilizers, and a small syringe with lube for the stabilizers. The cheapest of these kits comes in at $289. Come here. Let me say that differently. For less than $300, someone who has never built a keyboard before can order a single SKU from a single website and get every single thing they need to build a keyboard, including the tools. And this ain't no pre-built either. These are double-shot keycaps with legends designed by Max Voltar, in-house designed switches manufactured by Otemu, the same people who make popular switches like the Gazoo switches, and Durock V2 stabilizers with the same lubricant that pretty much the whole community agrees is great. And the most expensive of these kits is $370, which is flush with E-coated parts, polished steel accents, and a carbon fiber plate. That is nuts. Now that being said, you can't pick exactly the combination of parts you might want, and you do have to assemble the pieces when they arrive. But for someone who would want a product like this, I think the configs they've designed are great. And someone like me, or maybe you, who is so particular about getting the parts they want, getting caps and switches figured out isn't a tall order. And let me tell you something, you can still configure one and then buy Mode's switches and caps while you're still on their website. There's no one stopping you. This is, as far as I know, the first keyboard where you can get an experience like that, and more importantly, where anyone can get an experience like that. Gates wide open, come on in, no skill issues stopping anybody. I think this is a way bigger deal than it seems, but that's how these things happen. Someone does it, and then it becomes an expectation. Let's pivot a little and talk about design language. This is simultaneously a massive departure from Mode's historical offerings, and at the same time the industrial design of the product is completely in keeping with their style. If you put it and a 65 right side by side, their side profile is nearly identical. But when viewed from the front, you see the deep undercut that is the more angular sequel to the Sonnet's stunning undercut curve. This is Mode's first what I would call unibody design. Up until now, all of their boards have been a 2-piece clamshell design, and don't get me wrong, I love that design. But this new unibody design, I believe, is what allowed them to offer so much for so little here. What Mode has learned over the course of the 80s, 65, and Sonnet really shows. The Envoy is a collection of features that together make up an enthusiast keyboard. A beautiful angled housing for comfort, internal features to mount the plate and PCB, and the ability to make it look and feel how you want with clever but simple changes in materials and finishes. But designing all those features in such a way that minimizes things like machine time, finishing complexities, and shipping costs is what Mode continues to refine and shine at. Mode understands that design is not only how something looks and feels, but it also dictates the way an object comes into the world, and in my opinion they nail both. As for the overall experience of this board, I am just so impressed. The packaging is not Mode's most beautiful, I think that goes to the 80 or 65, but it is certainly their most responsible and reusable. Everything ships in the case, including allowance for an extra weight and accent, which I think is so smart. And because of how much plastic and electricity this hobby uses, I think responsible packaging is more important than beautiful packaging, even more so at the numbers Mode sells their boards. The build process really couldn't have been much easier. It's almost as easy as hitting the like button on this video. The new unibody design means no sort of awkwardly closing the keyboard while making sure the cable doesn't get pinched, and that taking apart your build to tweak it is super easy. And you can't really talk about the typing experience without talking about the mounting system, so let's hit that next. While I certainly haven't owned every single mounting system out there, I have used most of them at meetups at this point, and I gotta say I am really impressed by the ingenuity and elegance of Mode's new lattice mount system. It is not only tweakable with the two different block styles, the mount itself is totally toolless with just 2 screws retaining the plate and PCB in the case. The best fastener is no fastener at all, and Mode is really damn close to that here. I personally prefer a stiffer mounting experience with my boards, but I have quite enjoyed the bounce of the lattice blocks in this board. I do think this works for me because I have a carbon fiber plate, which means the whole keyboard bounces pretty uniformly and doesn't trampoline in the middle like some softer plates might. As for the solid blocks, they're approximately 70A hardness, which is pretty similar to mini O-ring mount boards, and in my very unscientific comparison to Rama's mute mount system, I think that's pretty comparable too, though Rama's is probably just a little bit stiffer. Just a little deflection under high loads, but almost none at all under normal typing forces. Mode used the word dreamy on their website to describe the lattice blocks, and I do think that's about as good a word as any. It feels like the plate and PCB are attached to the case by a cloud. They just float there ready for you to type on. And the solid blocks deliver a much more typical typing feel, though that's what's great about having these discrete mounting blocks is that you can mix and match them. Say you put the solid blocks in the corners to stop the assembly from bouncing completely, but by using the lattice blocks on the middle 2 points, you can get some of that trampoline typing feel I mentioned before. Overall, I think that this package is pretty hard to beat. It might not be exactly what every single one of you might be looking for in your next keyboard, but to Mode's credit, I think they did an incredible job hitting the center of the bell curve here, and there'll be something for almost everyone in at least one of the configurations. The last question on my mind is, what's next for Mode? Selfishly, I really hope it's another TKL. The 80 is so good, and Mode have only gotten better at this in the last 3 years. I do think regardless of what size their next board is, Mode will continue relentlessly chasing making products that are as beautiful as they are functional, and just keep bearing down on the accessibility element. The other part of this that I sort of glanced off of mentioning earlier is their switches and keycaps in Mode's theme product line. These are matching sets of keycaps, switches, artisans, desk mats, wall art, and digital art that Mode is designing and curating with 3 collections up for order so far. Other than their logistical prowess, I think what sets Mode apart is that they want to own the whole experience, top to bottom, inside and out, and they're executing on that desire extremely efficiently. If they can deliver on everything promised so far, and keep up with adding new installments, whatever they do next will be just as easy a recommendation as the Envoy is now. Mode, thank you so much for sending me this review unit. All of you out there, thanks for watching. Please comment if you have any questions or feedback, I read them all. Like the video if you did, and subscribe if you loved it. Thanks for watching.